As enough things have gone wrong with my 2011 Leatherman Surge, I decided to send it in for warranty, and I have mixed feelings about what happened after that. What's wrong with it, and what am I hoping for? First thing, within the first week of having this, I was cutting some zip ties, and the thumb rest, that plastic thumb rest, came right off, fell off my balcony, and it was gone. So what I'm hoping is they replace the scissors entirely with the new version of the scissors. Next thing, and I wonder if this is going to happen this time, sometimes when you pull out the T-shank, there we go, it happened. Sometimes when you pull it out that way, the whole thing comes out without that little sheath on top. Pulling it out from here is always really rough on my nails, especially after a long work day. I can't pull it out from there. I really want to be able to pull it out from there, but almost every time it does that. So I'm hoping that they replace this with, again, the new version. The next thing that we can do here is on the inside, which is the plier heads are loose. So you can see here, they have ever so slightly a little bit of jiggle to them now. And unfortunately, it's because at a certain point with version 1, sometimes with the version 1, when these pliers go inside of their little hole here, they can get caught. And mine's done that their entire life, but one time it got caught so badly that I couldn't get it out. And in trying to pry it apart, like with my hands to open it, not only did this become wiggly, but it created the next problem, which, before we get to the next problem, I hope they replace these with the new version of plier heads. So now when we get to the next problem is when I pried them apart, that little tiny tab in there got pulled, and that made the spring, there's a spring you can see in there that goes all the way the length of the tool, and when this got pulled up, it made that spring loose. So as a result, if you look here, this lock is now really loose, whereas this one is not. What am I hoping here? I hope that they tighten back up this spring that's inside of here by either replacing it or tightening it, or replacing this whole handle here. So I hope that they maybe reground that, sharpen that blade up. And then over here, I've almost never used this bit here, but I use this a lot. You can see how much it's ground down. And so I hope that they sharpen these blades. You know, and I'm okay if they fully replace it. I'm just hoping that, you know, I get to keep that micro bit driver, because they're really hard to come by. Now, before we move on to the online process, please subscribe. Okay, so I'm at the Leatherman website. We go up to Help and Warranty, and we go to Start Warranty. So now we're going to be filling these things out. We have Repair or Replace. I chose, of course, to not have sentimental value. I chose the Send a Comparable Refurbished Model. The product name, of course, I filled that out. And then I only have one of them, so I selected quantity of 1. So now I describe my problem here. Scissors missing thumb rest, lock tool on bit driver side loose, pliers are wobbly, the rivet that holds them together is loose. T-shank holder often doesn't come out right, and I guess the blades could use a sharpening. Now, how did I break my tool? Well, the pliers and tool lock broke because the plier head often got stuck when you put it back together. One time it got really stuck, and afterwards the pliers were wobbly loose and tool lock was loose. The scissor thumb rest came off when cutting. Now I want to point out really quickly that the problem description and how did you break your tool sections have a maximum of 250 characters, so I wasn't actually able to kind of fit everything I wanted in here, so I kind of had to pick and choose exactly what I wanted to put. I do wish that they allowed more characters in this so that you could accurately describe your problems. And then afterwards, you want to write your shipping information and then click submit. And after you submit, you'll get an email here saying that they've received your warranty request. And at that point, you just have to print your packing slip and instructions and mail off your tool. Make sure you follow their directions pretty closely. So I sent the tool out on January 2nd, and on February 2nd, I received my only email saying that Leatherman received it and to please allow 10 to 15 business days for this process. Once we're confident your tools will perform, we'll notify you and ship them back. I never received any other notification that it was being shipped. Now on February 19th, I got my Leatherman back. I was too excited to wait to open it on camera. So it's already been open. I've already taken a look at it, and it's very interesting. There's a few things I noticed that kind of were awesome and then kind of not great. So they thoroughly cleaned this thing. Like, I don't know if I showed the inside before, but the inside was had a nice had a bit of a red kind of patina to it, which might have been rust, might have just been overall dirt, but overall they cleaned it pretty thoroughly. They fixed the pliers. You can see here that they're no longer wobbly, so you can see there's new little marks on here because I tightened up that little rivet, and now it works just fine. Just as good as it was brand new. They sharpened all the implements, so I kind of wrote that, asked them to sharpen it as a joke, but they even went as far as to sharpen those, like I just said. But if you look at this guy, I don't know if I showed this accurately the last time, but that was dull, like all of this was dull, so they sharpened this up. This has been my most used blade on this. This guy was beat up. It had a lot of imperfections in it, very, very small imperfections, but now it's very sharp. So awesome that they sharpened everything. The scissors were changed to the Gen 2 scissors. So you can see here, everything was oiled up quite a bit. I removed some of the oil already, just so I can touch it without getting my hands soaked. But they put Gen 2 scissors on there and they work great. I'm quite happy with the change of the scissors. They gave new bits, which, based on what they say on their website, I didn't expect them to give new bits. I thought that they don't do that, but they do. This bit before was broken there, and then this was all chewed up there. Again, I'm not sure if I fully showed that on camera. So like some of the small things like that they did, and of course they lubricated this a whole ton. Like it was very moist, I guess, let's use the word moist, when it came out. Now, it did come back with two problems not fixed. So to start with, one of the problems I had is the lock here is loose. I don't know if your surges have that, but what I can tell you is this never had that problem when I first got it. These were rock solid locks, and I know that this is going to loosen up again, and we're going to get to that in just a second, why I know that. But first, another problem they didn't solve is that. So unfortunately, if you want to get the file out, you still have to use this bit, which I really hate. But what they did do, which was nice and also sort of confusing because it created a new problem, is that I had the version 1 file in my tool. It doesn't have a hole in it, and it's a way better file. To give you an idea, like why this is a problem, because this file is really, like, it's it's not very good. Here is the Power Pint. Everybody knows that I think the tools and the handles of this are some of the worst. And this file is no exception. It's not a great file, but even this file is more coarse than the Leatherman file, which is surprising. You know, here is a very fine-tooth file. This is the file I use on a lot of stuff because I don't need a big file for most of my work, which is why I use the file so often on this guy. I shouldn't have sent it in with that file because I don't think I'll ever get one back, a new one that's not the version 1 that was as good, and that file was still good. But that's okay, that's my mistake. I really appreciate that they gave me a new file, but unfortunately it's dead on arrival. Now, I know Leatherman makes great files because I've gotten great files from them, and then on top of that, here's my free P2. This right here, these files are some of the most aggressive files on this free P2 that I've ever played with, and on a multi-tool at least. And I really like that. Like, Leatherman make, of any multi-tool brand, the best files. In my experience so far, until now. I already kind of told you earlier in the video what happened here. Because when I close the pliers, they get stuck inside there on those little lips and a little bit on the tools because this is the version 1. So I know that when I close it, you see there, one time I was going to close it up and it got caught like that. And I pulled it out like this, and then the other one I couldn't get out. You can see of course it's that one, because that's the weak side. And it got caught right inside, and by the time I was able to pull it out, it gave the wobble to the pliers, and then this guy had the looseness to it. So unfortunately, it didn't correct that problem. Now that's on me. I didn't expect them to correct that because I didn't put it on their forums because, as you recall earlier in this video, you saw the forum, they don't allow enough room for writing more complicated problems. I sent them another email on the 20th of February, and I sent them a video showing the problems I have with this tool. And I did it from a different YouTube channel because I want them to see, I don't want them to know that I do reviews on these things or anything like this, because I want to see what happens when things go wrong and how they respond. And let's see what they have to say. On the 22nd of February, I got back a reply they gave me, a prepaid shipping label to send my tool back, and they would immediately send me a replacement tool, but I would not be getting this surge back. I really like the original plier heads on it more than the new ones, and I really like that it has the micro bit. So originally when I sent this in, I did not check the box saying sentimental because I thought I was going to be okay with if my tool would be replaced. But days after I sent this in the mail, I realized how sentimental I was with this. It was the first premium tool I ever bought for myself, and I've used it on countless projects. So I decided to keep my tool as is. I told them I'm not sure what else can be done at this point. And understandably, though a bit disappointingly, Leatherman did not send a reply back to that email. I was opening to sending it back for repair, but I was feeling annoyed with the process and didn't express that properly, and I also didn't want to risk losing my tool in the mail again. I think Leatherman's warranty is great, and likely the problems I encountered were partially because I didn't properly explain the problems I was having with my surge. Leatherman still dropped the ball, but so did I. And I think it's important to be accountable for our actions. In the end, Leatherman was going to send me a brand new tool. They recognized that they messed up. But I decided to keep my current tool as is. I could redo the warranty request and submit it as sentimental, but that might be another month or two, and I don't feel like going that route just yet again. Maybe I will again in the future. I have 14 more years of warranty left on this tool. So I think it's important for people to see that things can go wrong with your warranty support. But if you have a bit more patience than I did, Leatherman is willing to make it right. I also decided to be accountable to myself for the communication on my side that could have been better. When we're feeling annoyed or upset, it can be hard to communicate. We often expect the other person to read our thoughts and tell us what we want to hear. But it's up to us to look back at our behavior and decide for ourselves if we thought that behavior was good or not. And hopefully we can do better in the future. Thanks for watching.